I mean, I still think of you as King
It's
Loluzo.
for the crew and the gang only.
It's
Like,
like just overshowing. Okay, yeah, but yours is like supposed to give titties. You know what I mean?
it's not supposed to give titties, but
Yes, it is. It's a low cut top. You know what? I found myself last episode being like, after like I was watching it back, being like somewhat like self-conscious about like my arms, which is
Same.
like
here. That's what I was asking.
not even that's like
Yeah.
my arm hair.
Yeah.
And which is like, it was so weird because like that's something that I did a lot to like unlearn like as I became an
Yeah.
adult, because high school like it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
So like when I caught myself like watching the clips being like, damn, like that shit is mad hairy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm also not going to, because I think a lot of the time subconsciously I was
Yeah.
like, and maybe I didn't do this too often, but like some subconsciously sometimes I would like wear like a long sleeve
sleeve
shirt
shirt, yeah.
or whatever, even though I didn't necessarily want to wear a long sleeve shirt that day, just to like cover my arm so I wouldn't have to like deal with potentially being
Yeah.
self-conscious about this in post.
Yeah.
But like,
you used to like shave your arms at some point. And I used
yeah,
to, like,
and then today I was just like, girl, like I just
fuck it.
don't.
I saw India had posted a picture of herself like like showing her new like
Yeah.
watch, right? And she has like hairy arms, like her arms look like ours, right?
Ours? Who's ours? Who's ours?
I
These
don't
are
know.
not the same. One of these things is not like the other.
Because I don't shave my arms.
Baby, I was this hairy before I ever shaved my arms. Talk about ours.
It's like a pet.
Girl. But yeah.
But same thing. But like someone had like responded to it, like, and then she posted it, and the person was just like, "Thank you so much for like,
Yeah.
even just like, you know."
Which is crazy
taking this
because
picture.
sometimes I see people's like
Why have
other
we just
people.
dove into podcast?
That was a part
episode?
of. I was just saying, hi
Yeah.
guys, welcome to Side A, the podcast. It's been a while. It's been what, 3 weeks since we recorded?
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's been a week since they got to an episode.
That's
I think
not
they'll
true.
just be fine.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't.
Ain't no way.
hasn't.
It's been 2 weeks then.
Since they got an episode, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
But by the time they see this, it's gonna be 3. Yeah.
You guys missed us, yeah.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome
Hello.
back. I am one half of your hosts, Oyinda, aka Big O.
And I'm the other half of your host, Fun Girl, aka Lolo, aka Lolamu, aka the baddest bitch you know, aka Lola.
AKA King Glalizzle.
Only
If you know,
for-
you know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Let me know here it's in your mouth if you're not part sharp.
If you know, you know. What has happened in the last 3 weeks?
Life.
Right? But what has happened in
hope
the
you-
world in the last 3 weeks?
Okay, if you were doing finals, congrats on finishing your finals. Like snaps. Happy holidays to you guys.
Yeah.
Definitely next week it would be just about to be Christmas.
Yeah.
So happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry, happy. Continue.
Yeah. What else do people have going on?
I'm like trying to. I feel like the last 3 weeks have been like a blur. Like I'm trying to think about what happened out in the world. Like what.
I just think it's been uneventful. It's kind of been the same stuff.
Yeah, I find. Well, I also think what's happening is that I'm so uninterested in everything.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I kind of don't give a fuck. Like even about all these like trends and things like that. And I guess it's kind of our job to give a fuck and come here and tell you guys what we think. But I feel like this is relevant. I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way, where like they can't even be bothered to like, especially when it comes to like celebrity culture.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Less and less.
I can't deal with it.
I'm just like clocking out.
I don't care. I'm
But
clocking
it's like,
out.
oh my god. Okay. No, we're not doing side days for the week yet. But like,
Yeah.
but this is not my side day for the week. But I just want to give a quick shout out.
Shala.
Yeah.
Okay. To who?
Nicki Minaj. Pink Friday too. Sorry.
If you people have noticed, right?
my
Lala is always on the wrong side Lola is always on the controversial side when it comes to takes, because you're always giving disclaimers before you. Have you noticed that whenever you like talk about your faves, you have to give disclaimers?
Because most of my faves are problematic. What can I say? I have like 3 faves that are not problematic.
Honestly, who isn't problematic at this point?
At this point, like, it's
There's
literally
no one
all
to
of them.
like.
Like, there's literally nobody to just like wholeheartedly say, oh, this person is unproblematic and that's why I like them. Nicki Minaj.
I will say though, and like not to be that again, former Barb, right? Former Barb, but I got off the bus, and like when I say I got off the bus, I'm not even riding alongside it. Like I couldn't even bring myself to, because what I thought would happen was that when the project came out, I would at least like out of curiosity want to listen. But I can't even bring myself to be curious. And I felt somebody tweeted something where like it kind of made me feel like maybe that's kind of why. Obviously they were talking about Diddy, who we won't fucking talk about on here, but that whole thing happened, right? And then someone was like, okay, and it wasn't even like an attack situation, it was more posed as like a question, like, okay, what is it that we deem, like, how do we figure out these like situations, right? Because if we're talking about a person like Diddy, right, and like his like long-standing era of villainy for the past how many decades, it takes a lot of people around him who like are on board for like the intimidation tactics and like all of those things, right? And that person like likened it to like a lot of people that were coming out after the fact and saying, yeah, we saw him do this and da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, but you're complicit though, because you saw all those things and you didn't say anything. And then that person was like, well, Nicki was like threatening and intimidating her husband's victim, like on an ongoing basis. This is like a fact that we know of.
Yeah.
Like, why do we get to like fake like this cognitive dissonance when it comes to, because again, like with Nicki, a lot of the time I'm like, let's not punish women for men's wrongs, but like when you contribute to said men's wrongs, it's kind of like okay, like, are we dismantling the system, or are we only having consequences for the people who are like the offenders and not all the people that like enable them to do said offenses? It's something to think about. I'm not really like posing it as but it's something,
that I find like, because I feel like the enabling to do said offenses in Nicki's case is not, because what she was doing wasn't like necessary. Like, it's her husband, like that's her man. We can't akin it to the way Diddy's party had moved versus her.
I'm using Diddy as like in recent times, this is like an example that we have. But
they're not akin.
But the comparison that I'm making is people who are around abusers, who help said abusers to intimidate and to lie and to distract and all of those things. You know what I mean? Like, they help them to do those things. She's doing the dirty work on behalf of her man, because she kind of has that pull and she has that level of like, you know, she's that's Nicki Minaj. So it's kind of like, I don't think that, regardless of the fact that whether the crime happened 10 years ago or yesterday,
I feel like, let me not put this in a way that like it's even me enabling her, because I for so long was like so pissed off at her, and like I feel like I have just magically been able to, I think this is the one situation where I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely starting to separate the art from the artist. And I feel like no yes and I feel like, why does everybody get to do it for their favorite abusers and all of that, but
are you saying that because other people do it, we should be able to do it too? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that if we're already doing it, because it's not if people should be able to do it, we should already we can do it.
That's not,
I can choose what I want to do it for. I'm so sorry. I actually don't even care anymore, because it's like, especially when it comes to men, and every single one of your favorite male, like, not you, by the way, every single one of your favorite male rappers is doing something times 10 worse, is doing something times 100 worse on a daily basis. And I feel like what she did was very, like, very, very wrong. But let's not act like there are not regular people that do that for their man. Like,
absolutely,
yeah. And it's this.
She's not different. Yeah, she's not different from any other like ride or die.
It's just this ride or die mentality, which I think is the problem actually. And I kind of hate that she's being a ride or die for this man, because
that's the problem. Sorry to interrupt you. I think that the problem with her ride or die-ness is that in a regular, it's the magnitude of people, power. Like the magnitude that you have to like hurt people, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Whereas like one person, it's, I don't know, because we don't know the reality like that said victim like lives because of the fact that she was abused by Nicki's man.
I think I'm in constant like confusion like how someone like Nicki Minaj, who literally, I don't know, has done so much for like womanhood and like, you know, just like actually advocating for yourself as a woman and like your I don't want to say rights, but your rights, but your what's it called, autonomy, all those things, and then you end up with somebody like that just because you guys were like childhood sweethearts.
But you know what though? I think it's very indicative of like, I think it falls into like a larger conversation of like what 2000/2010s feminism kind of ended up looking like, you know, towards the end of it, where a lot of times like it came down to you realizing that a lot of women in these spaces were trying to create a situation where they got to say that they got that validation from the men around them, you know what I mean? And so like the thing that they were striving for wasn't to be like, oh no, like the entire status quo has changed. It's more so like I got to push through that wall or that ceiling or whatever the case might be. And like that kind of like, I think that we've shifted now in like the 2020s where it's like, okay, it really kind of isn't about that. The entire structure is fucked up. So I think Nicki is one of those, and I think I've been thinking about like feminism and like radical feminism in that lens where it's like the goalpost is shifting, and I don't necessarily think that a lot of millennial women knew how to shift with that.
Because like I even like sometimes I think about like her age and like her age group. There are a lot of things that they say about like, even just about like, you know, how people dress, like, even because like we can say, oh, it's like older, like we'll say, oh, Nigerian parents this, Nigerian parents that, but a lot of Nigerian parents are what, like 50, I'm sure, like probably youngest right now, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's that same, you know, mentality of, oh, okay, yes, this, but like, oh, but not
still
that,
within
not
the confines
that,
of this.
Like,
yes, exactly.
So I think that's like where like the complication comes in. I think I just found a way to be like, because Nicki Minaj, honestly, really shaped me as
I think that she
a
did
person.
A lot of us. She did. So, no, she did a lot of us. But she didn't do me. But I think she did a lot for a lot of us. A lot of us that were like, you know, coming of age at that time.
Like, unfortunately, that's my sister.
It's fair. I think it's fair. I don't want to necessarily say because, you know, other people get to do it, because then it begs the question, so like
why?
Okay, like, are we saying like, oh, are we saying that we want women to
do the same evils?
Are we saying that we're holding women to the same like standards as we're holding men, and that's what like our end goal is, which is like, it's not. But like, I'm not gonna judge anybody for listening. I just was saying like, somehow I just could not bring myself to, even though I anticipated that it's a long time coming, so I'm like, there's no way, like, of course. But then the time came and I was like,
she shouldn't have named that. She shouldn't have named that album Prank Friday too. I feel like half of the critique that she's like getting on it right now, especially like critics.
I actually haven't even seen critiques of the album,
bro. Like, in my world, everybody kind of likes it.
That's what I've been seeing.
But you know, because it's actually really good. But because it's Nicki Minaj, what we're saying yesterday is that Nicki Minaj, for instance, is an A student, and she made a B+ album. So we're now like, oh, this is so like incredibly disappointing to what she can do and her capabilities. And I feel like that's so interesting to see how we tell women that they're not allowed to, you know, kind of like move around. Like I know she's onto her, she has her standard, like let's not play, but she's not so far off from that standard. Pitchfork gave her a 4.0 for the album as per rating
out of 10.
And some critic on YouTube as well had done the same thing and given her a 3 and said it was unfocused and stuff. And like if you've been following kind of like her, you know, approach to this album right now, you can just tell she's having fun. Well,
I feel like Nicki's impact is that she sparks a lot of conversation,
yeah,
which I always want to engage in.
Yeah,
where like my writing Nicki off in quotes is not necessarily like not wanting to talk about her.
Yeah,
I will always want to talk about her, but I think that she sparked a lot of different pockets of conversation. If you're talking about music or culture or like womanhood or anything, like I feel like there's a lot of things that can come out of like talking about her.
Yeah,
which is why like I wanted to get into it. But what's on side A for you, actually?
What's on side A for me, actually, man? What's on side A for me? Let me think. What's on side A for me is routines.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really liking the concept of routines. I never used to. But they're actually really, like, it's nice. It's like, oh my God.
All the advice people have been giving for so long, turns out they were right. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I love a little routine. Like, it's really cute because then you get the opportunity to then like structure your day like afterwards, but always have like, okay, I'll do this and then, you know,
everything else
be like, okay, yeah, this and this and this, instead of just because I think I usually used to wake up with just like a lot of stress and like anxiety in my mind that like, because I would wake up and be like, oh, what the fuck do I do today? Like, how the hell did I like get up from bed? Like, what do I do? But just like simple acts like, oh, I'll get up and I'll go brush my teeth and drink a glass of water and like maybe stretch my body a little. I was like, I'm feeling that concept. I like that. And also on side A for me is Kava. Hey guys. I just wanted to reach out to you.
You did have Kava yesterday.
And 3 other times in the past couple days. I love you guys. We love you. We support you.
I do love Kava.
We are your Patreons, and we will also like to ask for, you know, a partnership of a sorts. You know, like how can we, you know,
no Kava sponsorship.
Help us help you help us. You know, like
Teddy on the help us.
Hey. But yeah, if you haven't ever gotten Kava, you should go get their pizza chips. God knows what they put in that thing.
Oh my God, the pita chips.
It's just so like, guys,
the pita chips.
And if you do agree to this partnership, you have to
Girl,
give me.
they're not seeing this. Like, be so for real right now.
But then, what if they do? And I'm manifesting it right now. They'll see it.
Okay, period.
And they'll see it
3 years from now when we're announcing or maybe not 3.
Not 3.
Shortly,
next year,
soon when we announce our Kava sponsorship.
Don't even worry.
When we're doing those ads like Bob and Money, bro, it's you that will read this.
No. I will not do Kava. Like, can't you imagine it? It will not be nice. It will not be nice because we'll not do it for better help. I can't.
Ciao.
Can't do that for y'all.
If you're gay on the internet, BetterHelp is on that ass for a fucking sponsorship. God damn it. Bro, please. Like, leave the gay community out of this. We don't want it. Bruh. We don't want it. I feel you about routines because even just like going to the gym now, even though I don't have a specific routine around the gym, like a specific time that I go or whatever, but like making it a point to go at least like 3 times or 2 times a week. Yeah. I think is kind of like helping me like kind of just shift my restlessness just a little bit. So I feel you on that. Yeah. On side A for me though is Heaven Knows by Pink Pantheress because she yummy. Just quietly dropped probably one of the best albums this year and was like, hey. And I feel like Pink Pantheress, she occupies this space where like there's I feel like it's even like similar to, this is a weird comparison, but like stick with me. It's similar to like Doja Cat, where because of the first comparison, because of the first types of songs that she put out, and because like it was all really like fun, and people put her in like that box of like, you know, it's boppy, you know what I mean? Even
but
though,
you know something, those are some of the saddest songs.
No, but that's
ever.
the thing, right? You have a certain type of beat, and a certain type of like hook, and people are like, oh, it's the same way we were all bopping to all the other Pumped Up Kicks. It was like, oh my gosh, so fun, so cool. That is one of the most devastating songs ever put out. But it's like people put her in that box of like, oh, it's fun, it's Y2K, it's trendy, it's da 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 da. And like, I think that a lot of her, like, I guess, what would you call like a listener who's like not necessarily super invested, like
passive listener?
Like her passive listeners are kind of like, okay, yeah, but then you listen to the full body of work and you're like, I just want to like put my hand on her shoulder and be like, what's going on? Like,
no, not even what's going on. I get what's going on,
but baby, are you getting some help?
Yeah,
baby, are you getting some help?
Here's my shoulder.
But I think that is one of like my favorite types of things when it comes to like music production and songwriting, is being able to like have that kind of juxtaposition of like, what is a fun beat? What is pop music? And does pop music have to be like this thing where we're talking about either falling in love and dancing and going out with our friends, or can pop music also be like, you know, talking about like other concepts and like maybe darker concepts that people would save, right? Things that
that are devastating, actually,
or things that people think you need to save for more solemn, like, or more things like R&B, or things that you need to save for like soul music or like rock music or whatever the case might be. Like, how do we get to define those like parameters around like how you match like songwriting with production? But I feel like she does that expertly, and it's just such a good album.
I feel like Omale does a similar thing. Of Omale.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Yes. Doing very just like, I can definitely vibe
I was
to
like,
this.
Who is Omale? And when did she start putting out music? Oh my god. Shout out Omale. I love Omale. I really do.
No, I really respect him. Like, he really knows how to, like, I really love when Nigerians in specific put their, like, I don't know, I don't want to say feelings. He really does a really good job of putting like his feelings in his work. And while I do think like Nigerian music always has feelings in the work,
they'll sprinkle it in and like go back to like, okay,
you know,
don't nobody feeling good. People want to dance,
But he just really like is wearing
he sits in there and he
feelings,
like
and like making kind of like, not, I don't want to say sad music, but just like relatable, you know, mental health kind of like concepts and things like that, while still making it like, you know, fun and fresh.
But it also feels like aspirational as well. I feel like a lot of times he talks about dark things, but then always like is mindful of like writing in like, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel, like the inspirational portions of like the keep goings and things like that. So like, I really, really like Omale's music, and I think he's a very versatile artist where like he could pair well with anyone literally, which is like, so everybody can't do that. Usually you hear an artist and you're like, okay, if they were to do a collab, it would be with this kind of artist, but I feel like Omale could go anywhere. And like, I kind of want that for him maybe a little more next year, to kind of like explore collaborations and like explore like international collaborations as well, like with some more intention. I feel like we were talking about this earlier in the season, where we're talking about like more intentional collaborative efforts for like Nigerian and African artists.
Like, be more so just like, even if I like this artist, does my music like this artist? Like, does my musical persona like fit well with this other person's musical persona? I'm not saying this thing personality wise, but as far as like your sounds, like how can, even if it's like this person is completely different, do you think that you guys can like meet in the middle where it's like, oh, this is so makes so much sense, it's so good. And that doesn't have any guidelines, by the way, but like, you know.
And I feel like it's one of the reasons why we need to start going back to traditional A&R, because it is technically somebody's job to do these types of things. You get what I mean?
Oh my God.
I was watching this one, I can't remember her name right now, which is pissing me off, but maybe I'll put it on the screen. But she was talking about like just the evolution of like what A&R means in the music industry, and like how essentially before it felt like you were essentially going to be one of the like decision makers in terms of like what this artist's like body of work is going to look like, you know what I mean? What their like whole, like at the end of this, like what space will they occupy, and like how do we like map that road where like now I think obviously like social media is a big part of it, and like how like artists are now being pushed to even like market themselves and like sell themselves to the fans, you know.
And I was just gonna say that actually, A&R
is even on the artist at this point. Marketing is on the artist, like everything is on the artist.
A&R itself, like in a record label, is a marketing role now.
Yes, it is a marketing role.
It's a marketing role now, and it's not supposed to be a marketing role.
I mean, it's a portion of what they do, but
it's supposed to intersect at some point.
The
A&R's job is to focus on their artist.
On the artist.
What does your artist need? What does your artist need sonically? What does your artist need, you know, to facilitate them to make the best work that they can? It's not just about, oh my God, you have to have this #1 TikTok hit. You have to go viral on TikTok. You have to go make this TikTok to make sure people go and listen to your music, which I think a lot of A&Rs are doing now.
They are like, a lot of artists are coming out to like complain and being like what how like they're being pushed. Somebody made this analogy the other day, and they were like, as an artist now, if you actually want to blow and you don't necessarily want to be niche, you can't just go off the way people used to. The way a Kanye West could have just disappeared for 3 months to go and like work on music and drop an album. You cannot disappear, because in those 3 months you have to be making at least 3 or 4 TikToks every week to be like, oh, this is
the song of the summer?
Did I make the song of the summer? Oh, get ready with me to go to the studio. Oh, let me show you what my day in the life of a recording artist, and blah blah blah. And it's like, to some extent, it's really fun.
Clips, which is why this epidemic of samples is happening.
Bruh,
by the way,
don't even get me started.
By the way, also Nicki Minaj, I'm on your ass. I'm gonna let it go.
I heard some of those samples, and I was like,
go, just because no, and it's like they're good samples.
Love a sample, but
why do 16, 17 songs on your album have like? And it's different if you take a sample and you turn it into
flip it and reverse
shout
it.
Out Pink Pantheress with Feel Complete.
Shout out Pink Pantheress. Shout out Beyonce. Like,
so sorry, but things like that where it's like you're taking this thing that's even recognizable sometimes, but turning it into
for sure. But like where someone recognizes and is like, ooh,
I don't remember what this is. Let me go
like,
look at for
shit,
it.
I wouldn't have expected blah blah blah. But it's just like, oh, this is this song. Okay.
And then it's like re-jazz
maybe
version.
They sped it up, or
it's a re-jazz version. It's just a re-jazz version. That's all. Like, and that is so sad, because like music has always been sampling. Music from the start of time has always been sampling. But it's the way you go about that sample. But Nicki Minaj, 17 songs, baby. I counted. Don't do that again.
Did you say 17 or 7?
17.
How many songs are on the album?
Songs. Oh, wow. 22 songs.
I saw the number before, but someone said it was like 8.
No. Maybe it's just because I actually like I don't want to say I'm a music connoisseur, but like I listen to a lot of music, so it's like I know, even if you don't think I know, like girl, I'm on your ass.
Okay,
so we got a connect.
After much ado, much ado about nothing, we have arrived.
We called Ade.
Ade doesn't even know what. Ade doesn't even know what she wrote down.
Oh my god. Anyways,
we have arrived at iconic duos, and coming from an iconic duo, I feel like this is kind of perfect.
Okay, so the first iconic duo I would talk about is Lola and Oyinda Amu. Wow, such amazing girls. Oh my
absolutely.
God. Talent to stupor.
And I know you guys think so too. So like, if you guys feel like we're iconic, like comment below. But I feel like we're iconic because I mean, there's a few reasons, but I think that there was just a kind of, you know, when something happens in the past, right? And you don't necessarily know why it's happening.
Yeah.
But then 10 years down the line, it like is like, that's why that was happening that way. And so I feel like the way we were raised and the way that our interests like intersected and like even the time we spent apart and all those types of things, I feel like now I'm like,
oh my God.
okay.
Especially the time we spent apart. I think in the moments, really, I used to be like, oh my God, this is a curse. This is the worst thing that had ever...
devastating.
This was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. Like, for years, like, the whole time she was in college and I was at home, I was literally just like... But it's like, I didn't really like her when she was still at the house. So it was like, oh, okay.
But
like,
you know what's funny? That's not true.
Yeah, we started liking each other.
I think that we always were besties. I think that it was just a situation of like,
we're just sisters.
Yeah,
we're sisters. We're
just sisters. Exactly.
Sisters.
Like,
yeah, like if you have a sister, you probably have had the most rigorous fights with your sister.
And when you're like tweens and shit, and like, or like towards the end of like, you know, whatever, or being a preteen and stuff like that. Like, there's just so much like angst and anger and like frustration and a lot of things that neither of you feel like you can confide in one another about. It's like, okay, she wouldn't get it, she's too young, or she wouldn't get it, she's like so preoccupied with like her friends and blah blah blah, or whatever the case might be. But I do think that it was necessary. You know why? Because now I think that there's a lot of conversations that we have where like I get to like hear your perspective on things, and you get to hear mine, and it's like situations that we were navigating together but in very different ways and perceiving like even down to our parents or like our aunties and uncles or like just childhood memories like perceived very differently. And it gives me like just insights as to like I hadn't actually looked at it this way, and like if you didn't get to experience it differently, we wouldn't have gotten to this point where I can like gain something from like your perspective, you know?
Very much so. Like, and I feel like the reason we work so much is because of that back and forth of like, you're learning from me and I'm learning from you. Like, it would have been such a different dynamic if, you know, as my big sister, you just kind of like look down on me. And I feel like there are lots of people's like older sisters that do the same. Like, my friends, especially, like, maybe not all of them, but like some of my friends, they have that kind of relationship with their siblings where it's like, oh, like, I don't really talk to my older siblings because they're just kind of annoying and like they make me feel bad. And I'm like, whoa, not really had that, like, you know, I haven't seen that. You know, I haven't experienced that. So, and then the way those intersections then happen, and then I guess kind of the things that I'm doing and I work on kind of mend the things that you do and you work on. Like, we do different things
that kind of meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle and just are kind of like the same reasoning.
All right.
You guys, I've had so many of these moments this
I'm going to do a supercut.
Oh,
I'm going to do a supercut for sure.
Anyways, I'm from Nigeria. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, I feel like the things that we do, like, we have the same reasoning, like, for doing those different things in different ways, obviously, but like core reasonings. That's why, like, oh, this is our core, you know, passion, motivation or drive, and like it's very similar, obviously, because we grew up in the same, you know, household environments.
Shocker.
Like,
we turned out similar. But I mean, also, shocker, because again, like, now I've gotten the insight from a lot of people who have siblings and stuff like that. Maybe it's also in their case as a result of having more than one sibling. So they got to like pick and choose, like, okay, I'm closer to this person and this person is closer to the other one, or whatever the case might be. Maybe just because we were just stuck together, we didn't have an option. But it could have also turned out the opposite way, where we just were not. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
that's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, my iconic duo. I feel like I have so many. Oh, Trixie and Katya.
Trixie and Katya.
Trixie and Katya.
Oh,
Trixie.
my.
Like, I was watching Bald and Beautiful yesterday, right? And it was probably like the last episode that they came out with. It would probably be like 2 weeks old at this at the point where you guys see it. But like, there's just like
the chemistry they have,
is so uncanny. Like,
bruh.
It's so uncanny the way their comedic timing like matches. Katya is one of the funniest people, and I feel like people don't think of her. I feel like people think of Trixie more as a comedy queen, but Katya as like a kooky queen, which is not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
fair enough. Fair
like,
enough.
Katya's not gonna go and do like a comedy special. Yeah, Trixie would.
Like, Katya's not necessarily doing stand-up comedy,
but she's just fucking funny. And my favorite thing is how funny Trixie finds her. Yeah, like when
the way they find each other so funny,
and I love
Katya
that.
Be like,
no dying, and
like,
you know, it just makes them. It makes them 10 times as funny, because when you see somebody just genuinely so like amused by another person, you're forced to see the amusements in like the whole situation, and you're forced to like put yourself like in their shoes. And also like it takes just a genuine connection to be able to like work alongside somebody for so long. Like, and that's why whenever people are like are they even really friends and blah blah, I'm like, you cannot work alongside somebody for 10 years in the way that they have, through all of the shit that Katya has been through all of the shit that Trixie has been through. You can't working with somebody is the easiest way to like see the worst of them, because it's just like, especially when you're working on something you care about, it's the easiest way to see all of their flaws and their shortcomings.
Because it's high pressure, it's high intensity, it's we both need to be putting on like a, you know, like we need to be present. Times,
we have to be bringing our best, and like our friendship is so contingent on like how we work as co-hosts and all these things
in like everything they do, because most of the things that they do is together. Like Trixie obviously has like
a bajillion things that she's doing,
and Katya also still has her stuff as well. But like,
even though Katya would rather not work,
but then they both meet in
Lola. I feel you, Sha. No problem. They both meet in the middle, is what she's saying. It's okay. I felt you. I got what you were saying.
They both meet in the middle.
Sweet time for me, do you know? You know. Come to the middle, you know. You know. Make a kiss sound for me, do you know? You know. All the vibes on the middle, you know. Split in the middle.
Okay, another iconic duo, and one I've been thinking about all week because I watched one of their interviews super recently. Solange and Beyonce. Yeah. And not really a duo that like particularly does their things together, but a dynamic duo nonetheless. Solange, like when she released her first album, right? I think I was watching an interview from like her doing press for her first album. And she was talking about, and this is something people still do now, and she was talking about how like she really hates it when people think that by listening to her like they're the anti-Beyonce league, or like, oh, by liking Solange it means that you hate Beyonce, because that lady does not play about her sister. Like, and I really feel that as somebody who has an older sister,
it's also such a crazy thing to do, because it's like, imagine you have your success and I have mine, and people think that supporting you is some sort of gotcha to me. And it's like, bitch, that's my sister
is gonna be happy for me regardless.
That's my sister. I don't know what you think you're doing, but okay.
And they're similar in a way where it's like, it's both of them, right? So it's like, that is my sister. Like, Beyonce is how many years older than Solange? I think about like 6. And it's like, obviously they're going to have different careers, they're gonna have different lives, and they're gonna.
I think they also want very different things
yeah,
out of like their art and things like that.
It's not
you know?
the same person.
They don't have the same lane. Yeah.
But to go through all of that and still be as like loving and tight knit and like just not particularly like in the public eye about their sisterhood.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they have to prove anything to anybody at any point.
Yeah.
And I feel like celebrities do feel like they have to do certain things to make people see them.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of celebrities exploit their close relationships in order to,
and it's like
whatever.
You literally don't need to do that at all. Even regardless of if people pit you against each other, like in the media, it doesn't matter, because what really matters is the actual relationship and what happens. Like,
also, this just brings something so interesting to me. I feel like media in general, but specifically like towards like the later 2010s, I feel like media exploited sibling relationships, specifically sisterhood. And I start thinking about like, or maybe it's not only sisters, but like close women relationships. So like, and I think it was also birthed out of this like Kardashian renaissance or Kardashian era, where like people got like this like overexposed view of like the Kardashians and like their sisterhood. And so people were like very set on exploiting that. And so people were trying to find different ways to like recreate that, like in different formulas, where it's like a bunch of women or two women or whatever the case might be, and let's see how we can exploit their relationships for content. So I think that part of Beyonce and Solange being so protective over their sisterhood is because partially like the media really wants to, like, especially when it's women. If it's two guys, it's like, oh, bromance, love it. It makes them even more attractive.
It's always a versus against women.
Like, and when it's like sisters, I feel like it's even extra gratifying for people to be able to say that they like drove something in between, or like there's controversy or whatever the case might be. But not us and not them.
Yeah. Seriously, even like on that note of just like this constant like battle between women, but not even by the women themselves, by the media and everybody else around them.
Yes,
because I don't know if you saw like clips from Doja and Ibro's interview when but she was talking about like stan culture, right? And how stan culture has literally like built up this like almost like an imaginary beef with almost every other, you know, people who she looks up to, like her peers, like people who she's coming up with right now, people who literally have done absolutely nothing wrong with her, and then will run with that, like, you know, no, like they definitely hate each other. They definitely, there's always this, there's this, and that person's probably in their house like, I have nothing against this person. Like, I have,
to be honest, like again, not to bring up Nicki and not to bring up Cardi. And that's even that. To be honest, you know what's so funny? That's actually actually an iconic duo.
Like, bro, and their beef really is rooted from
stands.
Yeah,
it started with stands.
It started with the media being like, oh, like Cardi's about to come and take Nicki's place. Cardi's about to do this. Nicki doesn't do the.
Yeah.
Why does it always need to be a woman against another woman?
My dear.
Yeah. And women will, and you know something, women at the end of the day just being like the type of people that we are. Like, I know I wouldn't want to be disrespected, first of all.
And also, it's only so many times, especially when it's not, because for instance, if it's you now, if something happens, I can always just come to you and be like, yo, what happened, or whatever the case might be. I feel like in their situation, they have very different camps. So it's not like, if somebody's feeding me stuff and blah, 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 like, who do I go to be like, oh, like, did you actually say this? Or is this or like just in general, where you feel like people are coming for your character like that, you're going to start to feel defensive.
Like, what
or
the
you're
hell?
gonna start to feel like, oh, well, actually, like, you know, whatever the case might be. So I think that, again, society likes to exploit female relationships for whatever content farming they want to do, whether it's positive, and where most of the time it's negative. So
it's usually negative. It's always negative.
Bob and Monet, I love, like, I think Bob is one of the, like, smartest like people and like smartest drag queens that I've ever come across. Like even just on sibling rivalry, like it would just be a random ass fucking conversation. And the way Bob will be able to build like a scenario and like build a whole script, like improv, like on the spot, just build a whole thing and like continue the bits.
Yeah.
I think people watch it and it's like, oh, hardy har, but like that shit is not easy to do. And we see that shit day in and day out because...
And again, this thing of people with just amazing chemistry. Like, again, they've known each other for time. Like they literally do feel like they're siblings. Like,
yeah.
And they are in my eyes.
Heavy feels like siblings.
Heavy feels like siblings. Like they could have grown up together, and if they didn't say anything, I would have believed that. Like full on, like the way they again doing different things, same thing, different ways, and it's still being like the same core of like a person. I love the both of them, and they're still arguably so different. Like, bro,
it's not arguable. They're very different. Their aesthetics are very different. Like the only thing they have in common in terms of like the art that they produce is being black and bald. Like
and drag
queens. And if that's the case, like then all these niggas is twins. But like they're, I don't know, I love their dynamic, and I love how like almost like clickbaity it can feel sometimes, because like they go at each other with this like understanding of like, okay, I know and you know, but like let's shake the table a little bit, you know what I mean? And I love that.
You know something, it's not even just let's shake the table a little bit. It's just both of them knowing their
audience as well.
Knowing their audience alone, but knowing their personalities, knowing their like, you know, their, I want to call it a rapport. But it is a rapport. Like how they conversate back and forth. Like every time they're talking, I'm like, this is probably how they roast themselves when they're sitting on the couch.
Yeah, the podcast feels like
their conversation.
I'm just sitting in on a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's do fictional iconic duos.
Hey, I have to do it just because wow. I really waited for them to be friends for so long. So like, I just Taya and Kendi from Honey Butter Pig Bread. No. And this time I actually will talk about sisters in a way that is so frustrating.
Also, right, I just want to say how Lola never gets the name of this book right. It is Butter Honey Pig Bread.
Honey Butter Pig Bread.
All right.
Honey Butter Chico Dado Dodo.
Bro, whatever.
Kako Dodo.
Kendi and Taya.
Butter Chicken.
What a journey. What a journey they took us on.
Yeah, but like literally still iconic because like
this is a spoiler, but next episode. Carry on.
Okay. But okay, girl, come on, Easter eggs.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing,
but but Taya and Kendi, like from the second that they come on that book, I'm saying they come on like it's like a show.
No, but like I read it that way.
Like I read that book like it was a show.
I could see everything.
I read that book like it was a movie, actually. So they're casted in my head. Like everything is done.
They turned that thing. Oh man!
But the second that they met each other, even just with the pure miscommunication between both of them, they have insane chemistry. And to read chemistry between sisters is
sisters who have until this point in the book they hadn't seen each other seen each other in years, and like all their chapters are separate, and like, man, you know what, I won't
spoil it for you guys, but like really that's an amazing book to read. I'm not really like I'm not a quick reader. I don't like to be a quick reader, but like
you did read that fast. I finished that in 2 weeks. That's so true.
Yeah,
you did read that fast.
I literally finished that in 2 weeks because I simply didn't want to put it down, couldn't put it down. Even when I wanted to, like, I would just be like, oh my God, let me just finish this. Because to write chemistry is a really hard thing. Then to go further, to write chemistry between siblings is also it's also a really difficult thing. And I don't know, is her name Frances or Francia?
Francesca.
Francesca does a really amazing, like, wow.
Francia.
I don't know.
Have you met somebody named Francia before?
Yes.
Francia. Huh. Were they Igbo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And also white. So, yeah.
They were Igbo and white.
No. I've met somebody who was Igbo with the name Francia, and I've met a white person with the name Francia.
Can collide.
Yeah. But like one was Italian and one is Igbo.
Okay.
Igbo people, I want to know what like goes through you guys' minds. Like your
With their
parents'
names.
minds with the names. Like interesting for sure. Yeah, it's a Italian can do.
Fictional duos. Grace and Frankie.
Grace and Frankie.
Grace and Frankie. Like that show, I didn't think that I would connect with a show about two women in their 70s and 80s
so
that
deeply
hard. But like if you want to just show somebody modern day like examples in pop culture of womanhood, sisterhood,
family,
interpersonal relationships, family,
queer relationships,
like navigating hardship, all of these types of things,
family dynamics, and
expectations for women in society. It's just so good. And again, this thing about chemistry keeps coming up. And that's obviously
what makes
you can tell like they've literally been friends for like longer than my parents have been alive. So like obviously that adds to it.
Yeah.
But like, and also another thing of like, I keep saying this thing, but to work with somebody for that long, it's not beans. It's not beans.
You actually have to genuinely like that person. I always tell people it's not enough to love.
Genuinely like the work they do.
It's not enough to just love someone. You have to like them. You have to like. I love you. Yes. Do I like you?
Because some days I genuinely don't want to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, like we'll have the conversations earlier, but last I'm sitting down and I'm talking to my sister, so it's like okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to regret it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, cool.
Like,
we're in this together.
You enough to put to bring myself out of a difficult situation to. Make our work together to make the things that we want to achieve happen regardless of you know whatever phase we're in. It takes a lot,
especially because working together, like that's a whole other realm to be able to like disappoint or let someone down, because at that point it's not only are you like fucking with their bag, you're fucking with like their legacy and their career and all of these types of things. So like there's a genuine amount of care, and like we see like people try it, they do the little podcasts for a year and it's like, oh, all right, or they do the little show and it's like, all right, whatever, like we couldn't like get it together or whatever the case might be. For better or worse, to stick with that shit, it's not only by money.
It takes quite a bit of, you know, inner. I don't know. I don't want to call it I don't know. I was about to say likeness, but like just like camaraderie. Exactly. That's the word. That's the word. Exactly. Camaraderie.
Connection.
Like the way that it makes you guys feel like intertwined. Like whatever I do. And not in a way that this is pressure, by the way, but whatever I do is also a reflection of this other person, but not entirely in the way that it's a reflection of like, oh, whoever they are, like, oh yeah, whatever I do now will entirely affect their lives. But to know that, okay, who I am as a person is also, you know, put in reference with this other person. So I have to bring something to that place that is natural and like loving and caring, and like even when we don't particularly like are in the best mood with each other, it's like
we can still power through
just
because of that like shared, you know, whatever.
That's what I definitely mean by that.
To wrap up, do you want to like do like a speed round and just like list off?
Speed round, go.
Yagas here and Akwike amazing. Can't even get it into it, but yeah, speed round.
Oh my god.
Nick and Schmidt.
Oh my god. Cece and Jess.
Ilana and Abby.
I didn't watch that show.
Who's Cece and Jess?
It's from the same show that Nick and Schmidt.
Oh, okay. I was like, you right.
Oh my god, I'm really blanking right now, but I want to say Two Broke Girls.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Why is it not coming?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did we stop watching Two Broke Girls?
I don't know.
Damn.
Let's see.
Iconic duos.
Oh my god, Violet Chachki and Gottmik. Wow. Love you guys, by the way. Just watched your thing with Dita Von Teese. That was so cool.
Jola and FK. Duh.
Jola and FK. Big Mummies. Solus and Fumbitoye. Oranges and apples.
They don't go together.
But the people are always putting them together. So
rice and stew.
Gizzard and Dudu.
Our niggas from Pick 2 Pudge.
She know and she
Yeah.
Shala. Anyway, everybody dynamic.
Everybody's so dynamic, iconic and dynamic. Please, if you have any iconic duos, that you love,
put it in the
comment section.
Literally, if we post this on Instagram as well, put it in the comments. We want to see it. Not if we post it on Instagram, we will put it on Instagram. But what else?
Follow us on Instagram.
The TikToks, the X's.
Yeah. Also, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's make it quick, girl. The year is almost ending.
We have 2 weeks.
TikTok.
2 weeks. Let's make it happen.
Until then, we love you guys and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Side A, the podcast with me and Lolo. And it's just the two of us.
Leah's in the corner, but she's just sleeping.
She peed on the floor.
Oh, when?
Literally while you were in the shower.
Why?
Like, I came out of my room and it was like fresh. And on that note, guys, have a lovely rest of your week.
Don't get a cat.